So tonight we have a special guest. We have Serato here to do a demonstration for us on Serato Studio and some new features. Really excited to have O.P. Miller here to do this demonstration for us. Appreciate that, sir. For anybody, so we at the Sound Collective have a bunch of classes right now that we're currently in the process of putting together for October. We have classes in DJing, classes in music production, as well as classes in acoustic instruments as well. Also, if you're interested right now, for those watching tonight, we have our Sound Collective online library, which features tons of courses and course material, Serato Studio being one of them, that you can log on right now and get 30 days for free and check out a course on Serato Studio and music production with Serato Studio. We'll be around. My name is Josh Andrus. I'm the Director of Curriculum and Instruction, and I will be here to answer any questions at the completion. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to OP.
My man Josh, thank you so much, and thank you everybody who's watching and folks who are here in person. As you were saying, my name is OP. I'm the Artist Relations Manager for Serato, and today I'm going to be walking you through Serato Studio. We're going to make a beat, and then I think Josh and maybe Nate are going to jump in and do some recording, play some bass, play some congas, and show you how you can do audio recording inside of Serato Studio. Before we get busy, the first thing I want to do is just kind of show you where you can find out about Serato Studio if you're interested in wanting to use it. So if you go to Serato.com and you go under products, you can go to music production, and under music production, you can find Serato Studio. And with Serato Studio, there's a couple of things here. If you're interested in downloading it to try it out, you can do so just by going here and downloading the free version to use. The free version will give you limited amounts of tracks and things that you can do inside the program, but it's a lot of fun. You can get busy with it and kind of test it out. And then if you're interested in actually making the full-on kind of dive into the program, then you can go through and either subscribe to it, which is going to be $9.99 a month on the subscription. With the subscription, you get some free Isotope plugin, plus you get access to all the sound packs that are available on Serato.com, and I'll show you those in a second. Or you can buy out the full version for the first version that we're in right now, which would be at $199. So you have two different options that you can do to get busy with. In regards to the sounds, as I was saying before, we have a bunch of royalty-free sound packs that are available on the website from a bunch of different creators and sound designers. All these are royalty-free, meaning that we've kind of taken care of all of the expense and cost. So you don't have to worry about if you make a hit song and it blows up and becomes a #1 charter, that you don't have to worry about paying for the sample to anybody, because we've taken care of that for you. So a bunch of different genres that are there. Some stuff like kind of more like lo-fi hip-hop. There's some electronic stuff, some trap stuff. We have a lot of creators, like, for example, Ocean, who's a dope producer, who just did a pack for us. We have Jules on the Afro Beats tip, which is pretty dope. The Magnificent Jazzy Jeff, this pack I love a lot. I use it pretty often. And a bunch of other folks, right? So there's a bunch of free sounds that are here that you can download and use inside of Serato Studio immediately to start making beats and get creative. So that's all the information there. Also, in the case that you are interested in learning more about how the program works, you can go to the tutorial link here, and we have a bunch of different tutorials here that kind of help you walk through the program, how to make certain types of beats, and then certain features in the program if you want to be able to learn how to use those as well. So again, go to Serato.com, download it and try it for free if you want to. You see that free link right there. Or if you want to dive right in, subscription, $9.99 a month, or make the full purchase, $199. All right, so let's get into Studio. Minimize this here, and sorry about that. I'm actually going to do a whole new session here. Okay, so this is what Serato Studio looks like when you first open it up. I'm gonna go full screen here as well, so we got it there. Okay, perfect. So it almost feels like the DJ program in the sense that you have a left deck and a right deck and a mixer in the middle. So you have your left deck over here where you're gonna have all of your sounds. You have your right deck over here where you're gonna sequence those sounds, and then a mixer that work in between the two of them. But this is about music production. This is not about DJing, right? So this is about how you can make the most easiest things happen with the workflow with Serato Studio. Just to kind of give you examples of things that are going on here. Again, you have where all your sounds are on the left. This is a drum deck here. And with the drum deck, as soon as you open up Serato Studio, you have access to a clean 808 drum kit. So, ooh, kind of loud. There we go. Right? And you can trigger those sounds in a number of different ways. You can do it from certain DJ equipment. So for example, right here, I have the Pioneer S9 mixer, and the pads on the S9 actually work MPC style in regards to being able to use the pads to drum out stuff if I want to. I can also do that on a MIDI keyboard. So right here I have the MPK Mini by Akai. And I can do the same thing there. I can also use the keys, right? And I can also use the typing keyboard here as well. So numbers 1 through 8, very easy. And then I can also use the letters on the QWERTY keyboard as well to be able to start making stuff. So a lot of different ways that you can get busy. If you don't own DJ equipment, or if you don't own a MIDI keyboard, you can literally just use your laptop computer and get busy with it. And you might see me oftentimes during this whole setup just be here in the keys instead of going to one of the pads, but I might kind of jump in between both of them pretty easy. So we have a drum deck, and really quickly, just to kind of give you a breakdown of how that works, is that each of these sounds that are here, you got the kicks, snares, hi-hats, so on and so forth. I can sequence all those things over here. So I can either draw in notes, very easy. Okay, so I can draw on those notes. Dave, I'm going to turn this down just a little bit. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. So I can draw in some notes if I want to, easily by just kind of drawing into the grid. I can also record in by, again, using either the pads on the mixer, on the MIDI controller, or on the keyboard. So here on the keyboard, I'm just going to tap in some stuff real quick. Here we go. So very easy, just being able to tap in and make stuff happen real fast, right? For each of these sounds, the kicks, the snares, the hi-hats, so on and so forth, over here inside of the drum deck, we have the ability to use the parameters to kind of shape the sound. So we can do attack, release, reverse, voice mode here. We can do tempo for time stretching, key shifting, and then gain, EQ, filter, and volume for each of the individual sounds. So for this kind of distorted kick here, right? If I want to kind of make that a little bit deeper and time stretch it, I can come here and I can actually time stretch it by half. So now that will give it a little more darker sound. So very easy there to be able to make those things happen, right? So just giving you kind of examples of like the quick way you can start to get busy with them. If you want to, you can also go into the grid, and with the grid, you can go make changes to the grid. So if you want to do doubles or triplets, you can do that. So maybe for the hi-hats, I can come here and then I can add in some extra notes to kind of make a little bit of a roll. Right, that kind of situation. You can also swing stuff if you want to as well. So if you want to go really heavy with the swing. Right, so you can do some really heavy swinging if you want to. But the feature that I like the most, which is very helpful for a lot of people who are either trying to first start to make beats or professionals who are wanting some inspiration, is this feature here called Make. And with Make, what you can do is you can go through and choose a genre that you want. Let's say a trap, for example. And when you press this, it's going to automatically give you a preset to start working with. And if you don't like that, you press it again and something else pops up. You keep on pressing until you find something that you like. Once you find something that you like, then you can go through and start to tweak it, add things in, take things out, and kind of make it your own. It's just going to give you some inspiration to start off with. So I'm going to press trap here, and all of a sudden it gives me one to start working with. If I don't like this, I'll press it again. So as you see, I'm able to kind of go in there and start getting some different patterns, and I can go in and start taking things out, adding things in, so on and so forth, right? Technically, right now we are in the first scene, and your scenes are going to be your different parts of your songs. So your intro, your verse, your chorus, your bridge, outros, so on and so forth, right? And in each of those scenes, you can have up to 8 bars. So right now I'm in bar 1 in the first scene. And if I press the plus sign here, it will now give me 2 bars, and it's going to duplicate whatever I had in the first bar to the second bar. If I press it again, it's going to give me 4 bars, and one more time, it'll give me 8 bars. So technically, inside of a scene, you can have up to 8 bars to be able to work with. If you want to see this in a little bit of a wider way, right here in the middle of the screen, there's a little arrow here. And when I press this, this will now open it up so you can see more of the MIDI to work with. And if you want to start adding things in, taking things out, so on and so forth, you can do that. There are unlimited undos. So if you do Command and Z, then you can undo some of the things that you might have done as mistakes as you go along, okay? If you don't like it, you can press the clear and you can start over again and get busy, right? So that's the drum sequencer and the drum deck inside of Serato Studio. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start to build a beat, and I have some samples I'm gonna use, some of the royalty-free samples that are inside of the program, plus a few other royalty-free sounds that I've pulled from Splice and such, and I'm gonna start to kind of build something along the way. And then eventually, once I have something built, I'm gonna have Nate and also Josh come up here and start to add some stuff in, recording with the congas and with the bass. So let's go down to this side over here. So what's great about Serato Studio is a number of things. The first thing is this, is that if you are already used to DJing with Serato DJ Pro, then your whole Serato DJ library will show up inside of Serato Studio as long as you're on the same computer, right? So here, I can click on this and I have access to my whole Serato DJ library on this computer, and I can literally pull any of these songs in and start to use them to remix them or chop them up or do anything I want to do with that. So I have my Serato DJ library here. I also have a tab that's here for all of my drum sounds, right? So there are a bunch of different drum one-shots and drum kits that come with Serato Studio as a part of those packs. And again, all these sounds are royalty-free. So if there are things that you want to pull in, snares, kicks, hi-hats, so on and so forth, you can grab all that stuff and start to use that very easily. We also have a bunch of audio samples, a lot of one-shots and loops that are available that you can use. There are built-in effects inside of Serato Studio. So if you want to use like echoes and delays and reverbs and so on and so forth, that stuff is all inside of the program. We also have a lot of great instruments, so pianos and keys and mallets and percussions and pads and leads and so on and so forth. You can play instruments directly inside of Serato Studio. If you are a more advanced producer and you're doing a lot of work with VSTs and audio units plugins, instruments, and things of that nature, all of your stuff will show up inside of Serato Studio, and you can use it very easily. So if you're using like stuff from Native Instruments or from Arturia or Waves or Universal Audio, whatever company that you're using plugins from, those things will show up here. And also what's great is that there's this tab here for patterns. So there are a bunch of preset patterns that are here made by certain sound designers, certain producers, that you can kind of pull in as inspiration. So if you're like, yeah, I want a pattern that's in this kind of vibe or this genre or so on and so forth, you can pull a pattern in, MIDI pattern, and start to work with it immediately, which is pretty dope. And then also lastly, you can browse through your library if you need to go through your files and find certain things. You can do that very easy as well. So I'm gonna go up here to my audio samples here. And in my audio samples, I have a little demo crate here. So I'm gonna go to my demo crate. And here I'm going to find this sample right here. You can preview all the sounds before you pull them into a deck. So let's listen to this real quick. So this is a sample that's at 71 beats per minute and is in D sharp minor, right? What's great about Serato Studio is a couple of things. The first thing is this, is that whatever the master tempo is of your session, it's automatically going to time stretch the sample to fit that without you having to do any work, right? The beautiful thing about Serato Studio is that the pitch and time algorithm that Serato has made is built inside of here. So all that time stretching, key shifting works immaculately inside the program. There's no glitches, there's no artifacts, there's no pops in the audio when you speed things up or slow things down, right? So when I put this in by dragging this here, automatically now this is going to play back at 120 beats per minute without having any glitches, pops, or anything of that nature. Okay, cool. So we got that there. Now, when you load in an audio sample, you'll notice that there are some little cue points that are here. So there's a thing called find samples, and what find samples does is it tries to find different transients that it thinks you're going to be able to work with to chop up and kind of rearrange the sample if you want to do that, right? In this instance, what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to go through and make my own chops instead of using the ones that it's given me. But if I wanted to try to find more, what I could do is press find samples, and you'll see that those cue points start moving in different places, right? And these cue points can be triggered either, again, by the DJ mixer, they can be on the keyboard, they can be on your computer, very easy, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through here and I'm going to select all, trash them, and then start from the beginning. So here, I'm gonna press the number 1 on the keyboard. So I'm trying to avoid this feedback here, sorry. So I'm gonna go back here to this one and press number 2. And let me zoom in a little bit right here. And do number 4 right there. So I have this here. I'll do it off the pads here. Okay, cool. I want to make this a 4-bar loop, so I'm going to come here and just make this down to 4 instead. And I can put the metronome on, and I have quantize set. So with quantize, it should be able to kind of lock those notes when I'm playing them into the grid pretty easily. And what I'm also going to do, see here, got the quantize on, I got the metronome on, that's set. And over here, in this section, I have the ability for the cue points to be played either by holding down on the buttons for as long as I want them to play for, or I can do trigger mode, which is this little arrow here, which allows me to be able to press one time and it's going to keep on playing until I press another one, and that's going to keep on playing until I press another one, right? So I'm going to put it in that mode, and then let's see what happens here. And I'm just going to play it real quick to see if I can kind of get a little vibe. Okay, so I might do something like that. So let's try to record that real quick. Okay, cool. So we got that there. Now, this is at 120 beats per minute. It's cool, but I might want to slow this down a little bit and kind of make it a little bit more of a groove. So I'm going to come up here to the master BPM tempo, and I'm going to bring it down to about 105. And let's play that back now. So again, making that time stretching happen, there's no glitches, no artifacts, no pops. I don't have to sit there and try to warp things and so on and so forth. It just kind of does it automatically. So I got the first sample in here. It's kind of foundation of where the beat's going to go. I'm going to bring in another sample. So I have this other sample here. Let me bring up here. This one right here is called Weirdness. So another one of the free samples that are inside of Serato Studio. Okay, cool. So this is technically 70 beats per minute, but it plays kind of double time, so it feels like 140. It's in A minor, right? So 2 different keys, D sharp minor, and then we also have A minor as well, right? When I bring this sample in, it's going to automatically both time stretch to be at 105 beats per minute, but it's also going to key sync it as well, so they both play harmonically at the same time. So I'm going to drag this in. And with this sample, I'm going to play this here. Right, puts it into that key, right? I only want to have the first part of the sample play, right? I don't care about the whole kind of bass, kind of dark, gloomy thing that happens afterwards. I just want the kind of keys in the beginning, right? Kind of little texture foundation situation. So what I'm going to do here with this is, actually, I'll record it in, and I might make some fixes on the MIDI if I need to, right? So I'm going to press record here, and then I'm going to start to do this here. And this time I'll do it on the keyboard, so you can see me kind of doing it in different places as well, right? So I'm going to do it from here. Oh, I'm sorry. Now, that's actually, I'm glad that happened, right? Remember what I said before. When you have the settings for the pad setup, you can either have it where it's at hold, which means you have to hold down on it in order for it to play through, or you have it on trigger to where it's going to be one press and it's going to go all the way through until you press it again. I didn't have it on trigger, I actually had it on hold. So I'm going to actually hold it down and do that again. So I'm going to go press clear again, and then go back and do the recording. Okay, so it's recorded there. Now you see that there's a little bit of a gap here. I'm gonna open this up a little bit so you can see it more. There's a little bit of gap between the time that I let go and then press it again. So if I bring my arrow right next to where the note ends, there's a little right bracket that shows up. And with that right bracket, I can just drag it and then kind of complete it and get it done. So I'll do that for the rest of these notes over here. Okay, cool. So that works pretty well, right? So let me go back and play that again between the two of those. Cool. So this is, again, what I love about Serato Studio is that I don't have to worry about trying to make all the samples work together in key. Like this in other programs, you would have to sit there and try to like, okay, let me try to transpose it. If I transpose it, does it actually fit? And do I know if it actually fits right? And then is it making weird things happen? This just kind of does it automatically. It's a really quick, fast workflow, right? So I have the two of those things down. I'm going to bring in another sample as well, right? I have the xylophone here. And I'm going to play this. You can hear it. Okay, so this is at 120 beats per minute, and this is also in E minor. So you're seeing that we have different tempos and different keys for all these different samples. Again, when I bring this in, it's going to put it into the same key to make it all work. So I'm going to drag it in. Okay, so there it is right there. And when I play this now. Okay, cool. Now, I want to do something interesting here. The first thing that I want to do is this. I want to choose the first cue point because that's where I want to be able to start from. And I want to use this thing here called favorite. So I'm going to press the star here. And what favorite does is that it allows you to keep that cue point favorited, meaning that it's not going to go anywhere if you press delete on all the other ones. It's going to stay there. So I'm going to select everything else by select all. And I'm going to press the trash can. And that one is going to stay there. So it's favorited, so I know it's never going to go anywhere. I always have it to be able to work with, right? I'm also going to make another cue point in the exact same place. So the second one, I'm going to make cue point. I'm going to favorite that one as well. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is that I want to do something interesting with this sample. The first part, I want it to play just for a little bit and then stop. And then the last part of it, I want it to play from the beginning to a longer period and then stop, right? So I'm going to create regions for both of these cue points. Now, at the bottom of the cue point, there are these brackets. So the first one at the bracket at the top is allowing you to be able to move the beginning of where the cue point is going to start. The bottom is going to create a region. So I'm going to just take this and just drag it out to about here. And when I play this, actually this is on the second one. So let me select that again, sorry. On the first one, I want this one here. And I'm going to take this and then open it up. Okay, and then let me see. And I just want to make that a little bit shorter. So I'm going to take this and then bring it back just a little bit. It's about here. Perfect. On the second one, I want that region to open up a little bit further. Sorry, that was the wrong one. I apologize. I'm going to undo that by Command Z. I'm going to select the second one. There we go. And now I should be able to do that there. Perfect. So that's what I want. So on the first region, it's going to play this and stop. The second region, there, right? So I am going to record that in, and I'm going to use the trigger mode here to make that happen. And this time I'm going to use the pads over here on the MPK Mini. So I'm going to press record. Let's make sure that is all set. Let's do that one more time. Okay, perfect. So there it is. Okay, good. So I got a foundation. I got 3 samples, different keys, different BPMs. Everything is working harmoniously together, no problem at all. And I'm moving pretty fast with this, which is pretty great. So remember, we still have that drum kit, that 808 drum kit up here, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take... let's do this. Let's do a couple of different things. Let's try to throw a beat on here first and just see what it sounds like if I just press the make button and see what kind of it produces along the way, right? So I'm going to press the trap button here, and let's listen to what it sounds like. And let me just fix one thing here real quick. There we go. So it's again automatically just kind of creating some stuff for us. And one of those things we like, we can just grab it and run with it. Now remember, I'm just using the 808 kit. If I want to use a different kit, I could. So if I go down to the drums and I go down to the all drum kits, I could swap out a kit live while it's going, and it's going to change the way that it's going to sound and feel. So I'm going to let it play as it is, and I'm going to drop one in and see what it sounds like. So I might leave that one there, but what I'm going to do now is go back into my little demo crate here and then swap out some sounds. So I'm going to go here to my demo, and I got a few sounds that I got from Splice that I want to add in. So got this kick here. So I'm going to take this kick and I'm going to replace it for this one. This is a pretty chunky kick right here. I like this a lot. I think it's one of Decap's kicks if I'm correct. But I'm going to take this one here and I'm going to put it exactly into the cell where I want it to replace. And then there it is right there, right? Cool, so I got that there. And I'm actually gonna clear this pattern. So I'm gonna clear it really quickly. And what I'm gonna do is, when you right click inside of any of the cells, you'll notice that this thing pops up here called fill in. And with fill in, I can choose how many beats that I want to have filled in for that particular sound. So I'm gonna do 4, so it's kind of a little 4 on the floor. I'm gonna probably add a few little extra drums in here. So let's go here. Okay, so we got that there. And I'm probably gonna add in some claps as well. So I'm gonna go grab some of these claps here, and I'm gonna put them here for the clap here, and also here as well. So I'm gonna grab this clap here. Let's listen to that. There we go, and I'm gonna grab this one as well. So I'm gonna take this and bring it over to the clap, and I'm gonna grab this next one and bring it in. And I'm gonna record those as well. This time, I'm gonna use the keys. Okay, there we go. And you know what I might do is I'm gonna turn the quantize off. So with the quantize off, it's gonna basically play however I'm hitting them. So it's gonna have a little more of a natural feel, right? So let's record real quick. Okay, cool, so we got that there. I want to bring in a little hi-hat situation. So I have one of the hi-hats here from Serato Studio. This is one from Decap. And I'm going to drag that in as well. So this is coming in as a loop. And what I want to do is I want to kind of play this in a little bit of a different way. I'm going to play it out straight how it normally sounds. Okay, cool. So what I want to do is I want to take this here and delete it, get rid of it. And I think I want to start from here. And I also want to do one, I think right here too. Cool, and I'll put that into trigger mode. Let's see what this sounds like. Let me just check just to make sure that I'm exactly on. Yeah, I want to move that just right onto the waveform, right on that grid. There we go. Cool. Let's try that again. Okay, so let's record that down real quick. Okay, so we got a little groove right there going on. I want to bring in also a little shaker here. So I have a little shaker loop as well. So I'm going to bring another sample in as well. And I'm going to play the shaker. I'm actually just going to draw on the note because I know what it's going to do. So I'm going to take it and click here on that first cue point there. Take that right bracket that we saw before, and I'm just going to click and drag. And that should loop around. Now, what I want to do with this cue point is, even though technically it does fit, I kind of want to change the feel of it a little bit. So the time stretching, remember for the cue points, you can do time stretching here with the tempo. So I'm just going to take it and go down to maybe like -3 or 4 and see what that sounds like. That's a little bit too much, so maybe go to maybe like -3. And actually, you know what I'm going to do? Pardon me, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this again, and I'm going to have it repeat a couple of times like this. So it's drawing here, and one more time as such. There we go. Cool. So it gives a little bit of kind of shifts it back a little bit, which I like. Doesn't have to be so on the grid. Okay, so I have all this stuff here, right? Got a couple of samples, got some drum movement going on, got some hi-hat loops that I've kind of chopped up and kind of moved around. Got the shaker situation that's kind of a little bit shifted off a little bit. Maybe we should add some bass in here. Now I'm going to add a bass line into this, just to kind of show you the process of what you can do. And I'm going to show you 2 different ways that you can do it. But then we're going to get Nate to come up here and then start to groove out, so that way we can kind of have it really build out in full. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to mute the xylophone. I'm also going to mute the weirdness samples. And I might just adjust the volume here on the shakers a little bit. Last thing I'm going to do as well, which I didn't do and I should have done, I'm going to swing these drums. So I'm going to bring it up to about like 30% or so. About there. I'm going to do the same thing for the sample with those little chops as well, to about 30. Let's give a little more feel to it. And I'm also going to do the same thing with the hi-hats as well. And a little bit with the shaker. Let's see what that sounds like. Okay, here we go. So maybe we don't need the swing on the hi-hat, so we'll take it off. Okay, cool. And I'll just turn that down just a little bit as well. Cool. All right. So with the bass, the first thing I'm going to do is, you can do, again, a bunch of instruments that are inside of Serato Studio. So I could go to the Instruments tab here, and I could pull one of the bass sounds, right? So I can go to the Bass tab, and there are a bunch of different basses that are here. I'll grab this harsh bass here. So with any of the instrument sounds, when you pull up an instrument deck, it's going to give you the option to do this thing called playing key. And what playing key does is that it tries to force the notes that you're playing into the key of the session. So if you're not like a keyboard player like myself, you just kind of like want to figure out how to get around it, it's just going to set it up for you. Right, so you can do that very easy. Actually, let me pull this one instead. This one's going to sound better. Right? If you are using your typing keyboard, then when you do the keys on your QWERTY keyboard, the same situation. And if you want to change the octave range for those keys, then you can use the letters Z to go down an octave. You'll notice that the color changes for the octaves, and then going higher, you can do X. So let's go up. Okay, now you notice also too, as I kind of hold between the notes, there's a little glide thing that's happening. So there's a glide knob that's here. And with the glide knob, you can have it glide a lot, right? Or you can do little, right? So it's up to you how you want to be able to do it. And you also have the option to change it between trigger and sustain. Sustain is going to take away a lot of the attack and just have it kind of more gradually blend in, whereas trigger is going to give some of that attack for the next note coming in. So I'll leave it on here. I'm just going to put it very low, and let's see if we can figure out a bass line. So let's try to record that. Now you'll notice that these notes, some of these notes here aren't directly on because I didn't have the quantize on, right? So it's kind of just playing as soon as how I kind of play. So if I was a little late, then it shows like that as well. But I can fix those. So again, I can kind of move the notes around if I need to. I can extend them out if I need to with the bracket, or I can delete them and then draw them in. If I need to, I can do a bunch of stuff to edit it and get it to fall in place, right? So I have those notes there. They're fitting, they're working, right? I want to actually bring in a sample and then use that as the bass line. So I'm going to actually delete this one here. I just want to kind of show that as an example of what you could do. I'm going to delete that there. And I'm going to go back again to my audio samples. And I'm going to go back to my demo crate. And I have this little sound here. It's one little pluck here. So I'm going to take this and load it in. And the cue point is here. I'm going to actually take off the time stretching here. And I'm going to get rid of this cue point here. We don't need that. So what I'm going to do is, for just this one cue point here, I'm going to go over here to this keyboard here. And with the keyboard, what it does is now it takes that sample and it stretches it across the 88 keys, so now I can play them, right? Right, and what's great about the pitch and time algorithm is that it's going to keep it in the same speed regardless of how higher or lower that you go in the octave, right? And some other samplers, most other samplers, once you get past middle C, when you go down lower, it's going to stretch out the sample more. If you go higher than middle C, it's going to make the sample shorter. Here, it keeps it the same length the whole time when it plays. So I'm going to try that bass line again. Okay, let's try it again. And let me actually turn quantize on too, so let me clear that out and see where we are with the notes. So we're down here. Okay, so let's try this one more time. So let me do that one more time, sorry. Swing that a little bit too. Okay, so you got a little bass line there, pretty easy. That's set up and good to go. Again, I'm gonna have Nate come up here in a couple minutes and play the bass line, so that way we can actually have some live situation happening with the audio recording coming in. So I'm actually gonna take this out for right now, but again, just want to kind of show you the options that you have to record these samples as instruments, right? I'm not gonna use any VSTs, but again, if I wanted to, if I needed to from my plugins, I could go to my instruments and I could pull up, you know, any VST, let's say the piano by Arteria, I could load that up and then I could start to play with it and get busy. But in this instance, I'm not going to do that. I just want to show you that you can do it, so it's available and it's there. Right, it's all there for you to play. And again, that playing key function is there, so it's going to try to force those notes to fit into the key of the session that you're working in. What's also cool as well is that it has this thing called auto chords. Again, I'm not going to use these right now, but I just want to show as an example. With the auto chords, when you have the auto chords turned on, with the press of one note, you can play a chord based upon how many notes that you want inside that chord. So right now I have 3 notes that are inside the chord, and when I press a note, right, it plays the chord. If I want to make that more notes, right, so I can start to add different notes in for the chord if I want to as I'm going through, right? And you can also do this feel knob here, which is going to create a strum, a more natural kind of feel when you go to play. So I'm going to turn this up a little bit. Right, so you can see that happening the more you turn it up. Right, so you have those options there, which are pretty cool. Again, I'm not going to use this right now, so I'm just going to take this out because I want to leave some space for the bass to come in and also for the congas to come in. So I'm going to take that out. What I am going to do before we get Nate on is I'm going to create a couple of different scenes, right? So this is going to be like your intro, your verse, your chorus, so on and so forth, so that way we can kind of have something to work with when he goes to record. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to take this intro where I've stacked up a bunch of these different sounds, and I'm going to copy that over to an empty scene. So when I have it selected, I can go to any of these scenes here, and you'll see that I have the option for copy or for empty. I can start off with an empty scene if I want to, but in this instance, I want to copy it, so I'm going to press copy. I'm going to do that a couple of times over. So that way I just have a few things that I can go in and start to change. Now, in this intro here, what I want to do is I want to, let's see, definitely take out the xylophone. I don't need it. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to clear the notes that I've recorded. Now, something to be very, very clear about. Inside of Serato Studio, when you want to make a scene that doesn't have certain sounds, you need to make sure that you clear the notes and you don't mute the actual channel. Because if you mute the actual channel, it's actually going to mute it across all the different scenes that you're working with. So you want to make sure just in that particular scene, just clear the notes out, and in all the other scenes, those notes will appear, and they'll be good to go. So I'm just going to go here and press clear. It's going to take out those notes. The sample's still there, just the notes are gone, right? So I don't want the xylophone there. I don't want the weirdness here, so I'm going to clear this out as well. I don't want, let me see here. I might, let's see, take out the kicks right now. So I might just go through and take out the kicks. Yeah. And then I might take those out over here too. And this one, right? And okay, cool. So we got that. So that's going to be the intro there. I'm going to go to the second scene, and the second scene is going to be now with the kicks. Again, I'm going to have the sample there, but I'm going to take out the weirdness. So I'm going to clear out the weirdness there. I'm going to take out the xylophone there. And I'll leave that here as such. Okay, cool. So we got that there. In this next scene, what I might do is go here and take out the claps. So I'm just going to take the selector tool here and just take out the claps here and take out the claps here. And I might just do like a little bit of a drum roll at the end. So, oops, sorry, let me take out the weirdness and also the xylophone. I got to turn the xylophone down. It's a little bit too loud. So I'll bring that down. So I'll clear out the notes there. got that there. And then the next scene, I want to bring in the weirdness. So I'm going to leave all that stuff there. I'm going to leave the weirdness sample in. I'm going to take out the xylophone. That's there. And then the last one's going to be everything all together, right? If I want to, I can go through and I can name these scenes. I can double click and just type in the name of the scene if I want to. I'm just going to leave it scenes 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 for right now. Keep it simple, right? And now that I've got kind of like foundation of all my scenes that I want for the track, what I can do is I can go over here to where it says song view. And under song view, I can start to literally start to arrange the song, to pull it down kind of like puzzles, pieces of a puzzle, right? So a little intro there, and then boom, drop in the parts. Actually, I might do this one. I'm going to delete this one. Let me see. So I'll do this here. Yep, like this. Actually, no, I'll do that like this, and then like this. I might save that actually and do this. You see, I can just change things around as I want to as I'm going along. Maybe I don't like that. Let's put it in, swap it out, right? Cool. And then I'm going to grab this here as kind of like a chorus, and then start to kind of build that out, right? Okay, cool. So I have like kind of like an idea of like a verse chorus situation. I can select this all right here, and then do Command D to duplicate it over a couple of times, and then maybe, sorry, go back to these scenes here, and then maybe at the end I'll just bring that little intro in as an outro. And now that I go to play this from down here, sounds. Actually, I'm going to do one more thing real quick with the sample just for the scene here. I'm going to do a little bit of automation. So, and I'm going to also add some effects in as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is this. For the effects and the automation for this sample right here, for the main piano sample, I want to do a thing called a breaker. And with the breaker, what it's going to do is it's going to kind of create like a DJ break kind of situation, right? At a very specific point. So this little guy over here in the corner, this little robot, oh, you might not be able to see it on the screen. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that you're not able to see that. Let me see if I can switch that up. And that's still not happening. Okay, so trust me when I tell you that in the corner, there is a little robot guy. Let me see if I can just squeeze this over like that. There we go. This little guy right here, this little robot, right? So this is for automation. And so when I click this here, this will allow me to choose a parameter that I want to automate. So I'm going to go down here to the effects. I'm going to go down here and choose the breaker as the effect, right? And what I want to do is I want to have it to where this turns on at a certain point. So I'm going to turn the actual amount of the breaker up. And what I want to do is for that breaker, by clicking on it, I can choose the point where I want the breaker to start. So I'm going to put a cue point or automation point there, put another one here, and I want it to start like this. So when I play this now, it should do this kind of situation. Let's listen to it and see what it sounds like. Actually, oops, the wrong way. Let me do that one more time. Bring these down. There we go. And like this. There we go. Like that. Perfect. Okay, so did it pretty quick. Let's see if we can kind of change the rate on it. So down here at the bottom, let me change the rate and let's see what it sounds like if we do like this. And maybe go a little bit further out. Let's try it again at like there. Okay, so got a little something there, right? Maybe we'll do it like that. Okay, cool. And that's going to work just for that scene. All the other scenes, the breaker is not going to be happening. It's just happening in that scene. What I do want to do, though, is the scene with the xylophone sound. Oops, sorry. Make sure it's not in that scene, so I'll make sure this is off. There we go. And is the xylophone's here, sorry. Cool. Okay, perfect. All right, so the scene with the xylophone, what I want to do is for this one here, which is going to have its own set of effects, I want to have an echo on there. So I'm going to go here to the echo. I'm going to turn that up so that way it gives a little trail off on the echo there. And actually, I don't even need that automated, so I can actually turn the automation off. So I'm going to actually go here, and we don't need that, so that's there. Okay, so that's going to sound like this. I'm just going to solo it so you can hear it. Okay, cool. Okay, so we got those there. All right, so now we got all the stuff set. It's all good to go. Everything's laid out. I'm gonna play it from down here. Okay, so the rest of the song's gonna play out and do its thing, right? Okay, is it time to add some bass in? Let's do it. Okay, cool. So we're gonna have Nate Mars from Electronic Music Collective come up, and he's gonna play some bass. So we're gonna do some audio recording inside of Serato Studio. So my man Nate here on the bass. What we're gonna do is this. We need to make sure that our audio interface that we're using, this Focusrite here, the Scarlett, is showing up as a device inside of Serato Studio. So I'm going to go to here and make sure that the input is set for the Scarlett here, right? And then once that's set for the input, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to the audio, to add audio here in the song view, and it's going to create an audio track for me. And what I want to do is I want to make sure I'm getting the channel that Nate is playing on. So he's plugged into channel 2 on the Focusrite. So I'm going to choose input number 2. And I'm going to turn on the audio input monitoring so he can hear himself play. And there we go. Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just create a section or a loop section for him to play over it. And he's just going to keep on playing and jamming out, right? And we're going to take some of the best parts that he's kind of been able to make and then chop them up and move them around to kind of create the vibe for the song, right, for the bass. So I'm going to go here to the loop section. I'm going to loop it. I'm going to take it and just bring it over here. And I'm just going to have it loop over this section here. Actually, no, over the drums. Sorry about that. We'll do it here. Actually, maybe we'll do it on with the claps in. Okay, cool. So we got everything looking kind of good. I'm gonna let this run, and yeah, Nate, jam out. All right, so here we go. we got a nice little vibe there. Nate on the bass. Round of applause to Nate. All right, cool. So audio recording is a new feature that's been added onto Serato Studio. So now you can just do anything that you want. Record some bass, record congas. Let me turn that down. Thank you, Nate, for that. Record congas, record vocals. If you want to, pretty much anything you want to do, you can record in and make it happen. What's also cool is that depending upon how you have your input set up, if you have your computer set up for the audio input from your speakers, from your MacBook speakers, and you could just like literally talk into your computer and then record your voice or claps or whatever you want to do, sounds in nature, whatever the case may be, and have that in, chop it up and do some different stuff. So what I want to do here is I want to go through and just kind of start previewing some of his playing. And I'm going to find different parts to be able to kind of chop up as cue points and then bring them down and start working with them, right? So let's go back and listen to it. We have the whole waveform that's here. What's great is that he was playing, the track is in D sharp minor. Serato Studio also realized that he was playing in D sharp minor and actually notates the key of it there as well. So we already know kind of like exactly how it's supposed to fit and work, right? The same thing will happen if you're dealing with the singer. Granted that they're singing in key as much as possible, like you're going to see that it's going to line up in terms of key as well, which is great, right? So let's go back and listen to some parts here. Okay, so I might come over here to this little part here. I like that one there. So I'm going to do this. Yeah, let's keep on going. I might find some little parts. I like that little. Do this one here. Last one right here. Oops, let me undo that real quick. Command Z, and let's make sure right on there. There we go. Okay, cool. So we got a couple different pieces that we're going to work with. So I'm going to take this here, delete it, and let's start bringing some pieces down and seeing where things fit. So take that, drag it down, and we might not need all this, so we might just even kind of cut it up a little bit. So I'm going to take this and just kind of drag it back here, like that. And actually, I'm going to bring this up so you can see it a bit more with the audio. Okay, cool. And let's make sure that fits there. There we go. Perfect. And let's see what this sounds like over here. I like that. Nate, man, making it work. I like it. Cool, and I'm just going to duplicate that so I know it's there as well. Let's bring another piece down. So let's bring this down like this in this section here. And again, I'm just going to take this and just drag it back. I might even just do half of it and then repeat. Let's see what it sounds like. Like this, and then do something like this. So let's see what it sounds like from here. Nice, cool. So this is coming together. This is good. I'm taking all these little parts that he played and just kind of piecing it together to make a nice little bass line situation happen. And then we'll come back down here with this one here. Again, just drag that piece back. And I might just take a little part of that and then start to, yeah, like that. And then let's try to duplicate that, Command D. So from here. Okay, cool, good. And the reason why I'm doing that is that you'll notice that, granted, these kind of sound the same, but there are variations in the way he's playing because he's playing live, right? So there's going to be little parts and pieces that might sound just a little bit different than the bass playing. So I kind of want to get those little variations inside of the track here. And then lastly, so we got this one. Okay, so let's drag this one down here, like this, and we'll bring that back to about there. Let's just see what it sounds like. Okay, cool, and I'm just going to duplicate that. Actually, I'm going to bring that over here to this section. And I might just take this one again and move it over there like that. So again, just kind of piecing the puzzle together. There we go. Take this and then duplicate it over. Yep. Okay, cool. So again, we got a nice little vibe going on here. And I can keep on doing this over and over again, kind of building out the track. Is Josh around? There we go, my man Josh. Static Link. So we're going to add on some little conga percussions here as well to record in, just to add a little vibe. So I'm going to go again to add audio. And this time, instead of audio input 2, where Nate was at, now I'm going to have audio input 1. And let's turn that on so we can hear. This is getting a little cool. I'm getting some signal coming in, so we're good to go. And I'm going to loop up a section again, just this little section here that we had in the beginning. And I want him just to kind of play over and over on that, and I'm going to go through and chop it up and put those pieces in as well. Okay, so here we go. And I'm going to bring this down a little bit smaller, and let's bring this up like this. We can see the waveform some more. Okay, cool. Here we go. Oh, sorry. Let me do that one more time. That was my mistake. I didn't start it exactly on the 1. There we go. Cool. All right, here we go. So we got a little something there to work with. Excellent. Thank you, my man. All right, so let's go back and listen to this and figure out some parts that we want to take. see here. You know what I might do, actually? Josh, let's do that one more time. And what we're going to do, because I'm realizing that we got a little bit of mic bleed coming in. So I'm going to turn that up, and I want to turn the beat down a little bit so we don't get as much coming in. Cool. So let's do that one more time over. Just want to make sure we get a good, clean take here. Okay. So I'm going to bring the volume down just a little bit, so you might not hear it as loud, but you'll still be able to catch a vibe, though. So let's listen to what's okay, good. There we go. That way we can get more coming in. That should be good. Okay, let's do that one more time. Okay, here we go. All right, cool. So we got that there. Good. Thank you, man. All right. Cool. All right, so let's go back and listen to that. Oh, yeah, thank you. Oops. A little too loud there. Sorry about that, folks. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to take this one here. So I'm going to press number 2. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, first thing actually, which is really important, is that all the audio recording that's being done inside of Serato Studio, once you record it, it actually lives in the library. So it lives in the library under the audio samples tab, under the recordings here. So they're all right here, right? So the last things that we just did, let's see what today's date is. There we go. All those are there. Right, so if I wanted to, I could do something interesting. One, I could just work with audio over here and then lay it out, or I could bring what he just played in as a sample inside one of the scenes and then work it that way as well, right? So let's work with audio here first, but I might go into the scene and chop it up, and I think the chop up is going to be the way to make it work. So let me get rid of this here. We don't need this. We don't need this here either. And with that there, I'm just going to do a little loop like this, right? Now, with this loop here, when I bring this down, it's just going to bring that section that I looped up, which is great. So I don't have to worry about, before where you saw me take the cue point and drag it down, and brought the whole thing from that cue point all the way to the end. If I just want that particular section, I can take that and drag it down as a loop, and it's there, right? So I might take this, and then let's just loop it up a couple times and see what it sounds like. But I think I might put this into, I think I want to chop it up. So I'm going to take these out here. And instead what I'm going to do is back in the scenes. Let's see, I want to do it in this scene. Yeah, I'm going to copy the scene. So I'm going to take the scene here, copy it over to a new scene. There we go. Boom. And instead what I'm going to do is go to that audio recording, which is this one right here. And I'm going to drag it in. Sorry, let me get this right. There we go. I'm going to drag it in here. And there goes all the playing, right? So what I'm going to do, again, I'm going to select all, get rid of these, and I'm going to just find some pieces that I like. So let's see here. Grab this here. And let me take the sync off. And I'm going to take the quantize off as well. boost that up a little bit. So let's go here on the effect, and let's just use like this little limiter to boost it up. And I can also fix the grid here. The grid's slightly off, so if I go here to edit with the grid, I can just kind of slide this back a little bit. And if that's off still, I can actually go through and just set the grid. So I'm gonna clear out the grid actually. And let's say I want it from here, then I'm gonna go through and set the grid there. And here, set the grid again. Sorry, set right there. Good, and it's gonna play. Good, that's all I wanted to do. And I wanna do this. Let me just fix one thing here real quick. Contract. Okay, it's cool. So I just want to take that little part there and work with it. So I'm going to save that for the grid. And cool. Here we go. Fix some of these notes, make sure they landed on where I want them to, as such. Cool. And in this scene, I think I just want to do, I want to take out the kicks. So again, I can just take those and get rid of them. I got that there set, and I'll just kind of nudge this up a little bit. There we go. Cool. Yep. Cool. So I got that little live element in there added in as well. And I'm going to bring that scene down into the song view. So what I might do is have a little breakdown somewhere around here, and then afterwards kind of go back into the rest of the track, right? So do that, and then I'm going to take this one here, and sorry, let me grab this here and bring it over here and duplicate that. Okay, so got that there, so that's good to go. So got the congas in. Last thing I want to do before we start to kind of like get out of this is I want to try putting an acapella in here and seeing what happens when I throw an acapella in, right? So I'm going to go to my acapellas. Actually, I'm going to go to my Serato DJ library. I have an acapella folder here. And let's grab, let's see. And we're going to play a little bit of this just to show what you can do. So I'm going to grab this here and drag it over. Okay. Oops, wrong one. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to do that. I meant to do this one. So let me get rid of this.
I've been doing my own thing.
Okay, cool. So let's see what this sounds like when we bring this in. Now, again, remember, Serato Studio will automatically try to key sync and lock in everything for it to work, right? So with this acapella, it should kind of fit in with what we've put together. So let's listen to what it sounds, we'll see what it sounds like.
I've been doing my own thing. Love is always a way of having that timing.
quickly, right? A lot of times you throw acapellas into other programs, you might have to sit there and try to like nudge and fight with it and so on and so forth. This kind of is locked in pretty easily. Now, she's about 2 steps up, so I have a choice here. I could either go to her vocal and I could try to bring her down, but she might not be in key with the session. So probably the smarter thing to do would be to go in and change the master key of the session and come down 2 steps to make everything work, right? So when I do this, what's gonna happen is that all the samples that I have inside of the program are going to all transpose at the same time. So I don't have to sit there and go through each one of them and try to transpose them. It's just all gonna kind of shift at the same time. So literally 1, 2, and let's try that again.
I've been doing my own thing. Love is always a way of having that timing. But to my great surprise, ever since I looked in your eyes, I had one question for you. Tell me if you want me to give you all my time. I wanna make it good for you, 'cause you blow my mind. I promise, boy, that I'll be true. You're the perfect one, so tell me if you want me to. Yeah.
And just like that, able to flip it and make it work. Again, trying to do this in other programs, it might take you a long time to try to sit there and try to transpose everything, try to make it fit to the acapella. This just does it all in one snap and you're good to go, right? What's also great about Serato Studio as well is that I can now change this speed-wise, faster, slower, and it's still gonna keep all the elements together, right? So let's go here and do this live. Yeah, let's do it live. Let's do it again.
I've been doing my own thing. Love is always a way of having that timing. To my great surprise, ever since I looked in your eyes, I had one question for you. Tell me if you want me to give you all my time. I wanna make it good for you, 'cause you blow my mind. I promise, boy, that I'll be true. You're the perfect one, so tell me if you want me to. Yeah.
And there it is, right? So again, that time stretching, because of the pitch and time algorithm built inside of it, immaculate. You're gonna be able to slow things down, speed things up, change the key, and everything's gonna sound clean regardless of what you did, previous. It's just gonna sound really good, right? So once you're set, you've kind of like developed the song, and granted, we've kind of been here for a while, so I don't want to have to sit here and go through every last step to like complete the song, but you get the idea of what you can do. Down here in the master, and I don't know if you've been seeing this happening the whole time, but what's really cool about Serato Studio is that your master, you'll be able to see it here, is actually developing the waveform of what all of your elements are as actual visual audio, right? So you're actually seeing what it's gonna look like when you actually play it inside of Serato DJ Pro. Now, Serato's always been known for having these incredible color waveforms. You can see the frequencies that are happening inside the song, your bass kind of frequencies, your mids and your highs and so on and so forth. You're seeing the exact same thing happen here inside of Serato Studio, right? So if you wanted to like add on some EQ, some compression, some limiting, you could do that inside the program with some of these presets, but you could also use any of the Serato effects that are here, right? You could also, if you wanted to, add in your third-party effects. So again, those waves, stuff, your Arteria stuff, your universal audio stuff, any of the stuff that you're out there using, any other DAW, you could add that in here as well as a plugin and make it work. Just as an example, I'm not going to use it, but just to show you as an example, if I go to my plugins, I go to my effects, and I go to native instruments, I can go here to the solid bus compressor, and if I just load that in, I'll put it in the compressor section here, you'll see that it pops up. So now I can start using it and get busy. So again, if you have certain effects chains, you can kind of lock that in and make it work. You can do 3 effects here in the master. So you just want to be careful about what you're doing in terms of like the number of effects that you're using, right? But if you're using like some type of like channel strip or whatever that does a bunch of things in one, then you can do that pretty easily, right? Remember that if you're doing the subscription, that you get a free isotope plugin as well, which is the isotope 9 elements. So you can use that if you want to for like doing some mastering stuff, if you want to. The Ozone 9 elements, pardon me, by Isotope. I'm going to undo that, so I just have the Serato stuff here. And I'm just going to turn these on, and what's going to happen is that as I start to adjust these parameters for the EQ, the compression, and the limiting, what you're going to see is that the waveform is going to dynamically start to change, right? This is great because now you can both visually see what you're changing, but then also audibly see or hear it as well. Between the two of those, you'll know maybe I'm going a bit too far, or maybe I need to push it a little bit more to make it sound as quality and as best as possible. So let's go back and play that again. So let's go back to the master here. Cool. We'll start from here.
I've been doing my own thing. Love is always had a way of having that timing. But to my great surprise, ever since I looked in your eyes, I had one question for you. Tell me if you want me to give you all my time. I wanna make it good for you, 'cause you blow my mind. I promise, boy, that I'll be true. You're
Right, so again, as you're kind of making those changes, you'll notice that the waveform started to kind of like get a little bit chunky somewhere around here because I was really pushing the limiter too much. So I was visually seeing that I was pushing it too much. I'm also audibly hearing it. Now I can kind of ease it back a little bit to get into the place where I feel it's like the right place, right sound. And then once I have everything done, like I've kind of done all my tweaks and such, and granted I haven't done a full mix on this, I'm just kind of running because of the workshop, right? I've got everything into the place that I like it. Then what I can do is I can export out the song. And when I export it out, I can export it out as a WAV file or as a 320 MP3, and then bounce it out, name it what I want to, and then boom, throw it up on SoundCloud. I'm playing in the club that night through Serato DJ Pro. People are dancing, having fun. Everything's good, right? Or what I can do is I can export the stems, right? So let's say that my man Pace showed up, right? Shout out to Pace. So I say, yo, I made something, but I want to make sure that he gets the stem so he can put his twist on it and make things happen, right? So what I can do is I can export everything out as WAV files or as MP3s, right? And what I can do is I can also export out the drums, the individual drum pads from the drum deck as individual sounds. So it's kicks and claps and so on and so forth. Export those things out individually. When I export out the stems, it's going to have the name of the session, plus it's going to have the BPM of the session and also the key of the session. So when I pass it on to him, he doesn't have to ask me, oh, what's this and what's that, right? He already knows, oh, wait, great, this is at 105 BPMs and in C sharp minor. He gets the stems, he pops them into any other program he wants to, and he starts getting busy and doing his thing, and everything's good to go, right? So that's how easy it is to make something inside of Serato Studio. It's a super fast workflow, super easy, again, because it's got the pitch and time algorithm built inside of it. A lot of the things that we were doing before in regards to taking the different samples and throwing them in that were in different BPMs and different keys, all that stuff syncs together right away because of that pitch and time algorithm being built inside of it. And again, it's built in the sense that you want to get these ideas out real fast. I literally just started throwing things in, and they started working, right? And then we got Nate to come up on the bass and play. We caught some good ideas, chopped them up real quick, added them on, and we got a nice little bass line. Josh came up, played a little bit of conga, took a little piece of that, resampled it and kind of chopped it up the piece that I want to. And next thing you know, we got a joint and we're good to go. We're making things happen. So yes, once again, Serato Studio. Let me show you once again where you can find all the information out. So sorry about that. That's the wrong one. Here we go. Cool. So again, if you go to Serato.com, right under the products, you'll go to music production and you'll go to Serato Studio. And here is where you'll be able to find out all the information about it. You can go through and download it for free and try it out, right? You get a limited amount of tracks and scenes that you can work with, but you still have a lot of fun with it, right? But if you want to do the full thing, here under pricing, again, the free version to download, you can subscribe to it, which is $9.99 a month. You can turn this off anytime that you need to and then turn it back on if you need to, if you're in a little bit of a financial situation, understood. But you get a chance to download all the sound packs that come with it. And again, we have a bunch of great sound packs. Jazzy Jeff, Just Blaze, A-Track did a pack for Fool's Gold, Flostradamus, Track Girl, which is one of my favorite packs, Jules, and a bunch of other producers have made a bunch of packs that you can use inside of Serato Studio. And all these sounds are royalty free, which means that you can use them, not have to worry about any payments. If you make a track and you put it out and it starts to blow up, you're good to go, right? Or again, you can buy Serato Studio at $199, and this gives you that full version to be able to work with. if you just want to make the full purchase and rock with it and get busy. Again, those sounds are here for you to download as well. So all the different sound packs are here, all quality and good to go. So yeah, that's the deal. Thank you, Electronic Music Collective, for allowing me to be here and represent Serato and Serato Studio. For the people that are here in the studio, there are some cards on your chairs that are 3-month free trials for Serato Studio. So if you haven't tried it out yet, you have 3 months to get busy and rock out and do the thing. So. Yeah, let's answer some questions, please.
All right, so
yes.
I'm going to pass the microphone around. We got some people tuned in at home right now on the web. So does anybody have any questions for OP? Nothing at all, huh? Okay,
Yes,
let's do
please.
Hey, how you doing, man?
What's going on?
Thanks for the presentation. My name is Min. At the beginning, you randomized a whole bunch of drum beats.
That's right.
Based on genre. I think that's really cool. Is there a way to output that into like a MIDI clip so I can drop into like a different DAW?
Okay, that's a good question. So what you could do is this. Make another drum deck real quick. And I'm going to just throw a drum pattern in here, right? I'm just gonna solo this so we just hear just this and do a little pattern here. Right, so this is the pattern that you like, right? You could right click on this and you could do save pattern, right? So I could save the pattern. And what's gonna happen is that it's automatically gonna put it into my save patterns folder here, and I can name it to what I wanna name it. And then I could drag that out. I could drag that out and then use that pattern somewhere, because this is basically a MIDI pattern at that point in time. So I could take that out, put it into another program, and then work with it from there. Yeah, cool.
Any other questions? Nothing?
Man.
I guess I.
No?
yeah,
Go
that's-
ahead,
that's-
yeah, man.
So when you were first performing, I think I noticed everything was quantized to the grid. Like you had that quantize setting
Yeah.
on. So when you're performing live and you want everything to be quantized as you play it, you would, I guess, play the note a little bit before the beat, right? So that it shifts it onto the grid, or how did you get it to play perfectly quantized when you were performing live, like
Right.
in the beginning?
Okay, so when I was doing the drums in the beginning, for the drums, the kicks themselves, I had the quantize button turned on, right? And you can change the value of how you want the quantize to go. 16ths is kind of normal for every DAW, but you want to do it in fourths or eighths. 30 seconds to get a little more loose, you can do that, right? So when I started doing the kicks, they kind of just lined in. Now for the claps, I wanted the claps to be a little more loose, right? I didn't want them to be exactly right on. So what I did with the claps, and I'll just go here and just solo these here real quick. They sound like they're kind of on, but you'll notice that this one here is just a little bit off from the other one, right? So it's not exactly on. This gives a little bit more of a humanized feel to it, right? So I just turned the quantize off, and then when I went to go record, it kind of picked up my movements as I was going along, and this one just happened to be just slightly a little bit off, right? So for people who are kind of like a little more on like the non-quantized, no quantized club, you know what I mean? Like where they just want to kind of like freehand everything, which I totally agree with, and I think is a dope vibe. You can just literally turn the quantize off and just freehand play. And if you don't like it, just re-record until you get it to be right, and you're good to go. What will be coming in the near future is we'll have note nudge, right, in the drum sequencer, where you'll be able to take that note and then kind of nudge it forward or backwards to get it to the place where you want it to be. That's a development that's coming in the program relatively soon, right? The other way around that is this. It takes a little bit more time because it's a little more tedious, is you could actually create a sample deck, right? And in the sample deck, let's grab that clap again, one of those claps. Let's grab this one and bring it into a sample deck. And with the sample deck, sorry, because something is soloed here. Let me make sure. Here we go. Cool, so with the sample deck, what I could do is I could re-record those claps, but as I'm re-recording them, again, having the quantize turned off, and I can then shift the notes just for the claps around wherever I need them to, right? So what I'm gonna do here is, let me go back here, and I'm going to just mute these because I don't need them, because I'm just gonna do them down here. So, and I'm gonna solo this and solo this. So. Okay, cool. So some of these are not exactly on, right? Like they're just a little bit off, which is naturally how it feels, right? Which is good. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to do that. There we go. So, yeah, some of these are just a little bit off as we're going along. It's a little bit off here. It's kind of on there. It's a little bit forward here. It's a little bit behind here, right? And if I wanted to, I could purposely just say, you know what, I want to really just make that one just like really, really off if I want to. So I just take the note and just kind of move it. Right, so you can kind of shift those notes that way, right? So you could do that like a sample deck just for the claps, a sample deck just for the kicks, a sample deck just for, like, keep on going through and just kind of individually kind of shifting those if you want to, that way, make it work. Yeah, good one. Pays.
Hi, my name is Pays, and I apologize if you covered this earlier. I came in a little late. Now, I know that you can record live audio, but what about if you have a VST, a third-party VST, like a synth like Serum or Silent? Can we record the audio or record the MIDI into it?
Right, so you can record the MIDI, right? So again, under the plugins here, you can do your effects and you can also do your instruments. So any of your VST instruments that you use, if you're using Siren, for example, or Silent or whatever the case may be, you can use any of those and get busy, right? So just as an example again, I'm gonna pull up Massive, for example, and load it up. There we go, right there. So basically any of your presets or whatever that you use, they're all right there for you to get busy with. The great thing about using it is that the play and key function is there. So if you wanted to with the play and key function, sorry, make sure this is not in, let me put this on solo 2, here we go, cool. It's gonna put it into the key of the session for you to start working with and playing. And then also too, if you want to, with the auto chords turned on, you can then do the chords as well with that, and you can turn the strum up as well and make that work. Right, that kind of situation. Now, so I think what you were asking about is you're thinking about if you could actually record the audio of what you played from the VST, is that correct?
I mean, either way would be good, but if it was to do the audio, that'd be very dope.
Right, right. So as of right now, you can't resample right now in that sense, but that's something we're talking about for a potential future update. But as right now, you can still do the MIDI perfectly. The kind of workaround to that is that you would do your MIDI performance, you would mute all the other channels except for that one, bounce it out, and then bring it back in again if you wanted to be able to do some, if you want to add effects and whatnot to it to kind of make it a certain sound, you bounce it out, bring it back in, then you can chop that up and then do what you want to do with it. Yeah. Cool.
Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Ima.
Hey, what's going on?
Right. So I was just wondering, where do you get your acapellas? Did you get it from Serato Studio or?
No. What's the right way to answer this? You can find acapellas in various places, right? There are certain, and I'm not going to name them, you can kind of find them yourself, but there are certain record pools, digital record pools that will sometimes have acapellas. I believe there's also a website that might be legal. I think it's called voice.it or Vocalit. Maybe it's called Vocalit, vocal.it, .it, that also does like acapellas and such. And then if you're a renegade, not like myself, but if you're a renegade, I'm not supporting this, but you do what you got to do. You can find, stuff on YouTube and other places as well, right? But that's at your own discretion to be able to do, right? Or RX8 and so on and so forth. What I would say though is this: is that there are places like Splice, for example, or BPM Create, for example. Now these are both kind of online portals where you can download royalty-free samples. But you might be able to find some like vocal samples and acapella kind of pieces that you can use to put onto your tracks. But if you're trying to do like, the most popular song or whatever, then that's kind of for you to figure out where to get that from on your own. Yeah. I have to speak in legal terms, so yeah.
All right. Any other questions? No?
Dope.
Okay. OP, thank you, man.
yeah.
Appreciate it. It was a pleasure having you, man. This
Thank
is great.
you.
Let's give a round of applause for you, OP.
Real quick.
Yes.
I want to give away a couple of licenses.
Oh.
How can we do that?
Okay. Well,
Some 12-month licenses.
let's do it, man. We actually have some other gifts for our guests out front too.
Yeah, true.
During the presentation that we put together for you. Also, make sure you check when you leave to walk by the table out there. We have some excellent Serato gifts that were donated by OP, even more. So
That's right. I'm gonna let you figure out how to do the giveaway
let's do it, yeah,
for
yeah.
the people that signed
we
up.
got
for-
this is really important. So if you haven't, make sure you sign in at the front desk. We collected email addresses for that, and we can do it that way.
Yeah, we'll do like a
That
little
works.
random raffle situation, and maybe
Yeah.
someone get an email. You get a 12-month license
That would
for
be
Serato
great.
Studio.
Thank you, man.
People who are here have a 3-month card that you can use.
Yep.
To rock with, but if you want to get that 12-month, then make sure you sign in.
Sure. In addition to, we also gave everybody in attendance a free month of our online Sound Collective platform that has a course on Serato Studio, as well as many other different courses on different plethora of different music production softwares, guitar, bunch of different things. So you check out soundcollective.com, and right in front on their chair there, we have a bunch of different classes that you can sign up for. Take 30 days for free.
There you go.
So, well, OP, thanks again, man.
Thank you.
If you got any questions for us, we'll be around. And thanks, everyone, for stopping out. Thanks for everybody at home for tuning in.